Hi guys, I'm in the car, but like so often these downloads can't be like controlled or like put aside, and I promised myself to start to speak up more often. And when I received those downloads, I promised myself to let them out, basically. So what we currently are experiencing, many of us, many empaths, many highly sensitive people, is just a heightened anxiety and lots of like light and more awareness, more higher consciousness, and so much more anxiety lately. So I became aware of how people tend to, when they are anxious and fearful, and it's like something that's so overwhelming that they can't control it, they tend to some people tend to control others, right? So your anxiety is too overwhelming, you can't deal with it, it seems like it's too much to bear, so there is a feeling of lack or a void to fill, or at least a feeling of soothing, and like you're craving a sense of peace and tranquility and tranquility and safety. So, but I noticed different kinds of symptoms, how we are trying to deal with those things, right? Because I caught myself today having very obsessive thoughts, and my brain constantly finding reasons to doubt myself, to be fearful, right? The anxiety is something that my body is already experiencing due to those energies, and then my brain kicks in, and then obviously it's the constant cycle, and then you don't know which was first, like the egg or the chicken or whatever the heck. And I caught myself today having obviously anxiety and anxious thoughts, and thoughts of like fearful thoughts, but I started to have like very obsessive thoughts of like people I've known or people I do know, and how they perceive me, and how they maybe not take me seriously, how they never loved me, or how they are finding someone else. And I find myself in these like obsessive ways to think how I can control this, right? How I can possibly make some people come back to me or text me back, or not many, just like, even if this just sorry, I have to switch my hand because my left hand is kind of shaky. I try to have more stability this way. Sorry. And I was like, I sat down with myself and I was just wondering, like, what am I doing? Why am I thinking this way, right? So it's also kind of like a fear of missing out, a fear of like everyone is finding the one or is in love, or like the world is kind of against me. That was always my fear. That's a past life fear, a possible past life fear of empath and light workers, right? Because we've been targeted and like maybe killed in public, and like having crowds of people turn against us and judge us, and judgment, like 500 years ago, judgment, or like 200 years ago, judgment was a death sentence, right? Often and many times. So we were persecuted and killed and whatever. And all this stuff is coming up sometimes, and because I would I found myself judging people who seek control in controlling others. or at least like not being okay with it. But today I found myself like wanting to control others as well, by like maybe even, you know, when you try to sometimes I think we've all been there, like we have an ex and we can't like deal with a breakup, or we are so jealous because we are scared, like we fear to be to not be chosen, right? So this is a reminder to breathe, to come back to your center as often as possible, to know that everything is all right, everything is that's what other energy readers or like energy readers talk about, that everything is on track, on time, right? To breathe, to come back to yourself, and to notice these like really obsessive thoughts and this way of thinking and those fears that like, also sometimes thinking about what could happen or what's like the worst thing that could happen, and then like becoming aware of that and it's gonna be all right, and that like, you know, just imagine for 1 second they found someone new. If we really love them, we send them love, right? We maybe find even like joy or gratitude or feeling of like being happy for them, and and whatnot, right? I became much calmer right now just by talking about it. Breathe through it, and let yourself do things you really like. Also let your body guide sometimes, because our bodies are going through all these like shifts and changes and emotions, and sometimes they are overwhelming, and we learned obviously to like push them aside and like not feel difficult feelings, and nobody ever showed us most of the time, and like it's nothing our brain could actually dissolve, right? And let us have these fears and then understand like, wow, I'm actually safe. And that's something like, this heightened anxiety is something a lot of people are experiencing at the moment. It's just heightened energy, and it's part of it all, of processing it. But in terms of these like really obsessive thoughts I was having, it's just one way of trying to deal with this fear, right? So we have heightened anxiety because of the energy, and our body is like on the edge. And then the brain kicks in to want to control this fear, and we try to control it by like controlling others, by having these obsessive thoughts, and we're constantly worrying, while worrying is just never going to solve anything. It's just our ways to try to have control over our emotions. So just be very compassionate and loving and kind, and like patient with yourself, because it's a lot. But like these control mechanisms, or these ways for us to find safety, usually come from us trying to control all these, like have control, right? and that's very understandable. There are a lot of things we don't have control over, but just be kind to yourself today. Thank you.